Okay, so we've got the ability to get the information about the user from a form, which is great, but now we need to send this information to our API. So far, we haven't used an Angular service to do this, and we were able to use the HTTP client to make an HTTP request to our API server. But that's not considered a good practice to do inside Angular, and typically when we're making HTTP requests, we would do so via an Angular service. And let's take a look at that approach now. So I'll just close this stuff down and we'll go back to our terminal and I'll clear this window. And if I go back and take a look at the ngg generate help and see what else we can generate, then we can also generate a service. And we'll go ahead and do that, and it's got an alias of s. So I'm going to say nggs, and where I'm going to locate this is a rather simple approach to file and folder organization. Is I'm going to say underscore services / account, and then I'm going to say dry - run and press return. And what this would do is it's going to create a folder called underscore services in our app folder, and then it's going to create these two files. Now, once again, I'm not going to use the test file, and I just really want the account.service.ts. And when I say it's like an easy way to organize files and folders in our app, what this means is that inside our app folder, we're going to have feature folders, things like nav, things like our home component, our members component, underneath the app folder. But for anything that's not a component, I'm going to give it the underscore. So it always appears at the top of our list of folders inside our app folder. It's just an easy way of organizing stuff inside our Angular project. So I'm going to run this command again, but instead of dry run, I'm going to say skip -tests and press return. And this has gone ahead and created this service. So if I go and take a look at what has been created, and I'll just use the File Explorer, and inside here we've got underscore services, and we have our new account service file. So what makes this different from a component? Well, this decorator for one thing, and it says that this is injectable, which means it's a decorator that says we can use this component or this service and inject it into our components, and it's provided in the root of our application. And with services, these are singletons, and these are instantiated when we initialize our application, as in when a user browses to our application, then Angular is going to instantiate any services that we create. And they're disposed of when our application is disposed of. So if we need something to be shared amongst many different components, then an Angular service is a good place to do so. And it's also considered a good place to make HTTP requests, for example. And then we inject our service into the component that needs to make that request, and then use the service instead of using HTTP client directly. So inside here, we're going to inject the HTTP service. So I'm going to say private HTTP equals inject and the HTTP client. And because I'm using this injection approach, I don't actually need the constructor inside here, so I can remove that. I'm also going to create a property for the base URL, and once again, for the very short term, I'm just going to hard code it inside here for convenience. And say HTTPS localhost 5001 and say /API and then /. And then I'm going to create a method to log in, and I'm going to say return this.http, and we need an HTTP post, and say this.base URL plus, and then in quotes accounts /login. And because this is a post request, we also need to pass the body up here. So we're going to pass in the model, our username and password effectively, and I'm just going to continue to use the type of any in the short term. Don't worry, it won't always be this way, and we will make better use of TypeScript as we add more features to our app. And then I'm going to pass the model as the second parameter inside here. So fairly simple stuff so far, but this is an Angular service. And the key thing to remember about an Angular service right now, it's a singleton. It's created when our application starts, as in the user refreshes their browser. At this point, our Angular service has been created, even if we're not using it. And it's a good place to store state and make HTTP requests. In the next lesson, we'll take a look at how we can use our new service.